Hello and welcome to episode 207 of Ask M&R Productions, a series where I answer your questions and now sit in different places. If you're new to the series, if you want your question answered, you can leave it down in the comments section below and I will pick from them for next week's episode. And who knows where I could be sitting by then. I've got $100 on the line today, as my goal for this episode is not to talk trash about LEGO, as deserved as it may be. I totally forgot to mention this in the original recording, but this weekend I'm going to be at Brickfair Alabama, which is being held in Birmingham, Alabama. I'll include a link in the description below to Brickfair's website if you need more information on it, but essentially I'll be at the Empire lug table with my buddy Blaine and Sands and Michael, and we'll just be hanging out, and if you want to come up and say hi and chat, that's usually just what I do the whole time during the public hours. You are more than welcome to, and I'm really excited because I just always have a great time talking to fans at LEGO conventions. It's just a great time. Also, I happen to have some stuff to give away. Well, one thing to give away. I shouldn't say some stuff. I want to give away this Imperial Assault Carrier to one of you that comes and meets me at Brickfair, Alabama. However, I don't just want to give it to the first person that shows up. I think that I will create a list of questions of LEGO Star Wars knowledge, just stuff that I know about the theme, and they will not be particularly easy questions, hopefully. Maybe the first guy will show up and get the first question right, but I plan to ask every person that comes up to me a question, and the first person to get a question right will get to keep this Imperial Assault Carrier. But if you want more updates about where I'll be at Brickfair, Alabama, and etc., just follow me on Instagram. I'll definitely post on my Instagram story exactly where and when I'm there. But let's get into it with our first question, or statement more so, from Jeremy. He says, the tapping didn't work because you didn't hold the AT-AT so it doesn't move. In your case, the whole structure absorbed the energy instead of the pin moving out. In the original video, you can see the guy's hand holding the AT-AT from behind. And it would have been nice if they had pointed out that you should put your hand behind there, because then I would have known to do that. They just said simply tapping the AT-AT. But yeah, I guess I missed the details there. And so I tried it again, and as you can see here, in some situations, the one pin does pop out. But I did have issues still getting the front pin to pop out of the walker, even when I was tapping it, doing the same thing. So it seems to be something that can work, but not as well as I think the video they put out makes it look like it works. I think it still takes quite a bit of effort to get that piece out, unless you just get lucky and get it out in the first try. But all of that being said, this is the last thing I'll talk about for this AT-AT debacle of whether the pieces come apart or not. I'm never taking it apart, so it doesn't really matter if mine taps and comes out or not. David says, I have the 10123 Cloud City, and I'm thinking about selling it for $2,000 and getting a UCS Falcon and UCS AT-AT. I love the Boba Fig to the ends of the earth, but I know I will regret not getting the two big sets. What should I do? So the increase in value of the Cloud City set is incredible. $2,000. I assume you have a used one, not a sealed one, because I think sealed they go for even more than that. Basically, you're trading off a legendary set for two other legendary sets that are much bigger and are going to take up much more space. You're getting more for your money there compared to what, I mean, obviously you're not buying the Cloud City set for $2,000, you're selling it, so I assume you bought it for cheaper. But I think you've probably had some time to enjoy that Cloud City set. I don't know how long ago you got it, but I think for some LEGO collectors, owning and having everything like I'm trying to do is not the way to go about it. And it's just going to depend on who you are. If you don't have the space or the funds to have everything that you want to have, which was the case for me when I was younger, I would basically I took sets that I really liked, like the 2005 Sandcrawler, I would sell that, and then I would buy, whatever 2008 sets that I really wanted at the time. And so I think in this case specifically, the two sets that you're going after are just so amazing, and I'm not just saying that because this is that episode, but they are really, really good. And while it's a tough trade-off to make, and it's going to be really hard to let go of that Cloud City Boba and just the legendary status of the Cloud City set, that, I think you're looking at two other sets that also kind of hold that legendary status, although they are much easier to acquire, so they don't have the same, clout. I don't ever want to say that word again. But, yeah, I go for it, do it. I think you won't regret doing it. I think it's going to suck to, move on from a set that you really like, but I think that's just part of collecting for some people, is just to have to, sometimes you have things, and then you move on from them to get other things that you want. I wish you luck, and I hope you do end up getting the Falcon and the AT-AT. The other guy says, Ryan, I'm going to get a playset with my Christmas money. Do you think I should buy the 2020 AT-AT, or should I get the Imperial Light Cruiser? Love the content. Keep it up. If you plan on getting any of the other Hoth sets, go out and get the AT-AT. If you don't plan on doing that, I say go and get the Imperial Light Cruiser. So just depending on what your situation is there should help you make your choice. Chris says, what are your thoughts on LEGO getting rid of the monthly promo calendars? It seems short-sighted to me. Some people probably made use of, and other people like myself just didn't make use of, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't exist, obviously. Is that because of you-know-what, I don't want to say it because ads and ad money's already bad in January, they basically haven't been having a lot of in-store events. And so they basically were like, oh, well, so we can just take the calendar away since our calendars are empty anyway, and everyone will be happy with that, and everyone's not happy with that, unsurprisingly so. Like I said, I don't have a vested interest in it, but to me it's incredibly short-sighted to, like, assume that this is just going to be the way it is forever. Like, I don't talk about it much on my channel, I guess, but, like, I would be shocked if in a year or two we aren't kind of back to where we were 3 years ago. Monthly events in the stores all the time and everything's fine and dandy. Like, you know, we have a vaccine. Like, you know, like I feel like things should be heading back that way. I also think that, like, having the calendars isn't just an in-store thing for a lot of people. A lot of people look at the calendars online and are like, this is when I'm going to buy this thing, and they use it to plan their purchases. So they're taking away a thing that allowed people to plan their purchases for buying with a promo. Like, oh, hey, this polybag is going to be available on the 20th of the month. Or if you're a Harry Potter fan, this polybag is going to be available on the 15th of the month. So you should wait until the 15th to buy this, which is good and bad for LEGO. There's two ways to look at it, because LEGO, I know this, has in the past tried to take these things away because people would do this. People would plan their purchases, and then LEGO wouldn't sell anything for the first 15 days of the month. I say that slightly exaggerated. Of course, they're selling something, but, like, the sales for the first half of the month would be pretty low, and then that second half of the month, bam, because we have a little promo. And it's like, well, isn't that kind of the point anyway? At the end of the day, I just think this is not good for the consumer. RM Phoenix says, you always talk about how LEGO will be in 5, 10, 20 years' time. How long, realistically, will LEGO be a functioning business for? Or how long do you think LEGO as a company will last? Look, like, when you have all these licensed themes, basically you can last forever. I don't see, like, that as a problem. Like, LEGO of old, 25 years ago, was in trouble. 20 years ago, whatever, like, they had some problems. But now, like, when you can just, like, pick whatever the current most popular thing is and just put out products with it, you're gonna make money hand over fist. It's just not a problem. But LEGO is a product that doesn't have planned obsolescence. If LEGO is this product that essentially in the span of a human, right, is going to last human lifetimes, you as a person, at some point, you're going to buy all the LEGO you want, or you're going to have too much, all of your space is filled. Like, at some point, there's just so much LEGO that it kind of devalues it, like in an inflation sense, I think. I haven't really thought it out too well, but basically, if everyone's just always buying LEGO, then at some point everyone has too much LEGO, right? Like, are we kind of following what I'm thinking here? Like I said, haven't thought it out too well. Anyway, that's just some food for thought, just something that I have had cross my mind a few times, but I've never really talked about. Jack Vaughn, and he'll have another thing that I haven't really talked about, but have been thinking about. He says, would you say investing in Cloud City Boba Fett would be good for the upcoming years? It would have been really good to do 2 years ago, right? Because now Cloud City Boba Fett's like nearly $1,000 figure. 2 years ago, it was like a $200 figure. I have been thinking about this, and I don't want to give you investing advice because I don't want you to go out and spend $2,000 and then, you know, 5 years from now only, you know, walk away with $1,000 and then it's my problem. So I try to stay away from that sort of stuff. But I have been personally thinking, maybe I shouldn't say this because then someone else is going to go out and beat me to it, but I've been personally thinking about, like, why would I invest $10,000 in the stock market, which I know, I mean, if I invest in Apple, I'm going to do fine, right? Like, I feel like. But, like, what if I just go buy $10,000 of gold C3POs, which is really, at this point, probably going to get me, like, 8 or 9 sealed gold C3POs? Who's to say if I put this $10,000 in now, in gold C3POs, which there is a finite amount of, there are 10,000 gold C3POs that were ever made, many of which have been opened, many of which were probably lost to children in 2007 that opened up, were like, oh, I got a shiny gold C3PO, look, Mom, and they were like, oh, cool, congratulations, go play with it, and it gets destroyed, right? Basically, or lost to whatever, like, there's just some amount of loss there. And so, realistically, there's not a whole ton of gold C3POs. If I just invest in these, like, I feel like I'd do pretty well. So, I don't know, it's just something that's crossed my mind. Another thing, and I've been thinking a little bit more heavily about investing in LEGO series. Like, all this stuff behind me, like, you might look at it and be like, oh, that's a great investment. It is, I suppose, but it's not necessarily for that. It's all personal collection. At some point, most of this, especially like the pirate stuff, this Harry Potter stuff, the Venator, the Star Destroyer here, Jabba's sail barge, ATT, like all of this stuff at some point I want to open and build and review. I don't buy a lot of stuff with the sole intention of ending up selling it later down the line. That's like, I don't know, 1% of what I buy, maybe, like very, very little stuff. For example, I bought these chicken dudes at Toys R Us in like 2016 because I thought they would go up in value. These were like $6 each or something. I think they might be worth $10 now. It's like not even worth my time. I've probably lost out to inflation almost. So it has been something I've been thinking about personally. As far as what I'd recommend for you, I will refrain from doing so. But, you know, do your research. If it's worth it to you to spend $2,000 to buy 2 Cloud City Boba Fetts, hoping that in a year from now they're worth $2,000 each and you double your money, that's great. I would also keep in mind that depending on how you want to go about selling these when it's all said and done, if you go and sell them on eBay, you're losing 15%. Like, part of the problem for me is, like, I look at the math behind it, and I'm like, if I spend $1,000 on a gold C-3PO right now, I spend $1,000, just clean even $1,000. And in a year, let's say I go and I can sell it for $1,500. Well, so I'm at $1,000. I sell it for $1,500. It sounds great. It sounds like I just made $500 in a year, the easiest $500 ever. eBay and PayPal together take about 13% if I sell it on eBay. So now I'm down like another $150 off my $1,500. I'm down to $350 profit. And then I go to the government and I'm like, hey guys, I made $350. Didn't I do good? And they're like, give us our 25, 30%, whatever. And all of a sudden my $500 profit is like $252. It's just not as crazy good as it sounds. So I would keep that in mind with stuff like this too. I just think like using the Robinhood app is a lot easier and less convoluted than eBaying things and having to physically hold things. And, you know, what if they get destroyed in a fire? Like, there's like a lot of things that can go wrong there that would probably keep me from actually doing that. Penn Plays says, having departed the LEGO Ambassador Network, do you have anything to share regarding the value and standards they held themselves to during your tenure? Bert says, will a $1,000 Death Star come out, and if so, when? I hope a $1,000 Death Star is not the next Death Star that we get. As I look over to my beautiful Death Star over there from Mike. Thanks, Mike. So, first off, a $1,000 Death Star, like, the previous Death Stars have maxed out at $500. I just don't see what you can add to a Death Star that would double its price. It just doesn't work. Like, yeah. I don't think it would be the first $1,000 set. Unless inflation became crazy and it just happened to be the one that hit $1,000, but that's inflation. It still wouldn't be bigger than the others that were $800, I would think. The next Death Star is probably going to be considerably smaller than the previous Death Stars, and I think that's a really good thing. LEGO hasn't had a cheap Death Star ever. Like, the first UCS Death Star came out in 2005, it was $300, and then the playset one came out in 2008, it was $400. Then the UCS remake playset Master Builder Series 1 came out in 2016, and it was $500. And they've never been able to make a small Death Star, which is clearly something that would sell like mad. And then, last week, the LEGO Ideas Globe set leaked, and immediately when I saw it, I was like, they're going to do this with a Death Star. They're absolutely going to do this for a Death Star. How could they not do this for a Death Star? It is perfect. Obviously, it's not going to have the tilt to it and that whole spine thing. You know, the standee for it's going to be a bit different. But the general concept and the size of it works perfectly. You can make a $150 or $200 18+ Death Star. I don't know if they would call it UCS or not, but I would love to see in 2023 a $200 UCS Death Star. I think it works. I just think it does. They clearly have a template of something that is very similar. It's literally the Earth and the Death Star. The build of them is the same. I think a $200 Death Star is very likely to happen within the next couple years, not a $1,000 Death Star. So I doubt it would have any play functions or anything. It would just be a UCS style 18+ Death Star. I don't know if they'd put it under UCS or not, like I said, but yeah, I'm kind of hyped for what that could end up being. I'm almost positive that's gonna happen. It's gotta happen, right? Zoom Salad says, living in the Sunshine State, Florida, do you ever worry about sun bleaching or discoloring your LEGO sets? I make a concerted effort to keep all my sets, especially the expensive ones, away from windows for this reason. So, this particular room that I'm in now has most things covered by blankets to begin with, but it also doesn't really get any sun because all of the blinds are closed and I haven't been able to open them for 2 years because a bunch of boxes are in the way of the blinds. So there's that. Anyway, my bedroom, where I was going to say the bulk of my collection is, but that is not the bulk of my collection. That's just like a slim pizza slice that I have displayed. None of those ever get direct sunlight, and they are all very far away from the window. As I believe it, and I might be wrong, like, so maybe do some Googling, but I believe as long as it's not in direct sunlight, you're pretty much good to go. My bedroom never gets direct sunlight to begin with, and it's got like a bunch of plants outside that cover the window anyway. Like, I am more than covered. I'm not worried about it myself. Now, if I had stuff in the living room or something that get, you know, in the sun in the morning shining through the windows, that's going to be a problem for you. And I will say this. He points out that I live in Florida, the Sunshine State, a lot of sun down here, whatever. Even if you live up north, I mean, I've seen my friend Sean send me pictures of some of his stuff. Like, if you put stuff in a window, it doesn't matter which state you live in, what part of the world you live in, if the sun is shining directly through that window onto that thing, I've seen some Lego box get really sun damaged too. That's kind of crazy as well. But if you have the sun shining on your stuff, it's going to get sun damage. So just make sure it's out of direct sunlight, and you should be pretty well off. John Christian says, I miss Microfighters. I wish they'd do more than 1 or 2 a year. Yeah, Microfighters, in my opinion, might be on the way out. I think they are just about done, and I think we can see the trend line. You know, you go from getting 6 a year. Back in 2014 when they started, they did 6 a year for at least the first 3 or 4 years. And then in the last couple years, they have just fallen off a cliff. Last year in 2021, we got the single Millennium Falcon, and then we got the 2-pack with the AT-AT and Tauntaun. So that was 3 total Microfighters. But this year, for 2022, we only have the Razor Crest Microfighter. And, I mean, the next stop is 0. I mean, maybe next year they come out with 3 and we're good again. But it's definitely trending towards Microfighters going away, and there doesn't seem to be a particularly great reason for this, as LEGO commonly states that they like to have early entry sets for people, or for kids especially, to like go in and get characters for cheap and stuff. You know, like, Microfighters were a good way to have characters for cheap, and they have taken that away. So it's like a bit of a head scratcher when they're you know, talking about how they want to not have exclusive characters and expensive sets. Like, I feel like we should get 7 Microfighters from the Mos Eisley Cantina. Benjamin Garner says, just found this channel and have watched about 80% of your content. The obvious love you have for Legos is very refreshing and infectious. Keep up the good work. Benjamin, while I do appreciate it, I think you need to watch the other 20% of my content, where the obvious love you have for Lego is very refreshing and infectious isn't quite as true. Although, it is an obvious love, because there's no way someone could possibly be this upset over a box error if they didn't actually like the thing that was messed up. So keep that in mind with my rants in general. Like, I don't rant because I don't like Lego. I get upset because I like Lego. I don't get upset when the Philadelphia 76ers screw up with Ben Simmons. I laugh at it. Like, if Lego messes up Ninjago, I laugh at it because it's Ninjago and I don't care about it. But if they mess up LEGO Star Wars, I'm upset. Like, if the Boston Celtics go out and screw up a big trade and Kyrie Irving leaves or whatever, like, I get upset at that because I like the Celtics. Same deal. Like, if LEGO screws something up big that I really was excited for and liked, you know, I'm just not particularly happy about that. Like, why would I be? It doesn't make any sense.
Hurry up and lose so we can get out of here!
Why do you hate the isotopes so much, Dad?
Because I loved them once and they broke my heart. Let that be a lesson to you, sweetie. Never love anything.
Anyway, I appreciate the comment, and honestly, it might have been a joke from you, but Kearn says, just wondering if you're at all concerned by the downward flex in the AT-AT neck. I just finished building mine, and am worried that the neck will progressively flex over time due to the weight of the head. Yeah, this is definitely a solid fear to have. The biggest example of something like this that I can think of was on the 2002 UCS Star Destroyer, where like the bottom panels, because of the magnets, would just kind of sag over time. And we definitely could see something like this with the AT-AT neck. I'm not so worried about it because LEGO sets are pretty well engineered nowadays, and they've had the experience of having issues like that before in the past, so they can look at that and be like, hey, we need to counteract this. And so I would assume that the way they have built it is made to withstand, you know, years and years and years of that downward pressure of the weight of the head. The head is very heavy on that thing, though, so I do see the fear for it. Unfortunately, there's just no way to know right now. People have only had it on their shelves for a couple of months. It's possible in my mind, because they've been working on a UCS AT-AT for so long, they just have to have, that they have had prototypes of a UCS AT-AT sitting around for like 5, 6, 7 years that have a similarly designed heavy head, and so they know that it won't sag, or they built it so it won't sag, that type of thing. So I keep that in mind too, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where we won't know until we know, and it might take 5 or 10 years. Stress says, is it worth it to buy 50 clone minifig packs for $750, or is there a better way to get 100 clones? The answer is there a better way is no, not yet necessarily. So here's the thing. LEGO has been praised like no other for these minifig packs, and I am very happy that they exist, don't get me wrong. But this minifig pack provides no better value for your army building than the 2018 Clone vs. Jedi Battle Pack. You're getting 2 white clones for $15 in both cases, which is the bulk of what people are army building. I will argue with you that yes, the Clone Commander is better than the 2 Jedi. 110%. But at its core, the army builders are going for the white clones. You know, that's what you amass. The Clone Commander you need like 1 of. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense either. You go and you get a bunch of plain clone troopers, but you're still getting 2 for $15. Like, that's the rate. And so the only way you are going to get a better price than this, because LEGO's not going to release another set with regular Episode 2 clone troopers for cheaper than this, at a cheaper rate than this, is to wait for them to all be available from like Lego.com and LEGO Shop for like 6 months, 12 months, whatever. And then by that time, a lot of people that sell stuff on Bricklink that part stuff out, here's the pro side of there being people investing in LEGO for you, they will have listed them on Bricklink. To make a profit, they obviously have to sell the sum of the parts for more than what they paid, but that means that if you only want a specific thing out of the thing, you can usually get those things for cheaper than you would at the rate of buying the LEGO set. So you can go and get the regular clones on Bricklink for maybe $5 each, and then you're getting 2 clones for $10 instead of 2 clones for $15. So at the end of the day, instead of spending $750 for 100 clones, if that's the only thing you want out of the transactions, you can go and you can spend $500 for 100 clones. I'm working with rough numbers on the back end there for what the prices might look like in a few months, but that's kind of what I would expect is about $5 a clone, sometimes maybe even down near $4 a clone if you can, you know, find the right seller at the right time. But yeah, you can definitely get them cheaper if you wait. And our final question here from Busy T says, I wanted to know when the Defense of Hoth, Brickheads, Ahsoka, and Clone Trooper Command Station will be available. I have an email from a LEGO representative, and the agent said that by the end of last week, they should be available for sale. They weren't. He said, then I was watching another LEGO YouTuber, and he said that there's a rumor that they might come out from what he heard by May 4th. What do you have to share regarding this? Love your channel. So, there's currently no rumors as to when the figure packs will come out. Anyone saying there's a rumor is just lying, although I guess in the realest sense, then it's a rumor. If people are talking about it maybe being that day, right? Like, and then it's technically a rumor, but there's no solid information pointing towards anything. Most certainly not May 4th. These are not going to be delayed till May 4th. That's not happening. They already got released in Europe. I think a lot of people are forgetting that. LEGO has these done and made and produced. Like, they became available on January 1st in some places. Unfortunately, LEGO refuses to speak on any of this to its community and its fans that wasted tons of time on January 1st trying to buy these online and then going to their stores to try and buy them in store, but they weren't there. So there is currently absolutely no information as to when these will come out. All there are is guesses. And my best guess at this point in time, given LEGO's absolute undying silence on the matter, is that they will probably come out like February 1st. They're probably delayed a little longer than we thought at first. And there is no clear reason why. I've seen a lot of comments being like, oh, it's probably a shipping issue. And it very well might be a shipping issue, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, things go wrong. But like I said in my original video, the issue most fans have with this isn't that they are delayed. It's that LEGO isn't talking to anybody about it. LEGO doesn't care. Like, it's amazing how little they seem to care about, like, just the most basic form of communication with its customers and fans, like people that are trying to give them money. Now, there are different stores are saying different things. The problem is LEGO will commonly lie to you, and this goes for stores, people that answer the phones, customers. Like, they'll just give you an answer to give you an answer that, like, satisfies you. So when the LEGO Stranger Things set was coming out at the LEGO stores, I went to my LEGO store in Orlando on release day, and when I went in the store and asked them why it wasn't available on release day, they told me it was because Disney said they couldn't sell it, right? Which was obviously the real reason if they were going to tell me that. So Disney told them they couldn't sell the LEGO Stranger Things set. So then I walked to the parking lot and called them on the phone to ask them again why they don't have Stranger Things, or I ask them if they have it, and they're like, no, we don't have it yet. And I'm like, oh, why don't you have it yet? It's like, our shipment hasn't come. So as you can tell from my personal experience, and as I can tell from the litany of messages I've gotten, I'll get to in a second, LEGO will just tell you different things, kind of arbitrarily, just to tell you something, even if it's not necessarily true. So just remember that. So you said a LEGO rep told you they'd be available by the end of last week. Obviously that didn't happen. I have had an email or DM, if I can find it, I'll pop it up. Someone sent me a screenshot of a LEGO rep saying that they've always said coming soon and that they never said they would be available on January 1st. So, you know, as you can tell, and I'm sure there have been more answers to more of you that have reached out to LEGO customer service and gotten different replies, there isn't a straight answer we can have. So, yeah, it's great. I love it. Anyway, that's going to do it for episode 207 of Ask M&R Productions. If you enjoyed the video, like would be greatly appreciated. If you have a question you want answered on next week's episode, leave in the comments section below on this video. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.